absolutely fantastic. It was great. I learned a lot, met some really interesting people, and I think most importantly, you get some time one-on-one with the instructors. And that's not a chance that you usually get outside of a boot camp.
So we definitely come back or recommend it to one of your friends?
Yeah, I've already actually recommended it to a couple friends. We're not even done yet. We're about halfway. I've already text messaged a couple guys, and I was like, you've got to get into some of this material. You've got to meet some of these guys because it'll completely change it.
Welcome to the 2010 Love System Super Conference DVDs. The Love System Super Conference began in 2006, and at the time it was an opportunity to bring together some of the best dating coaches and pickup artists from around the world, as well as guys who wanted to learn from them, to share and develop their new ideas. I mean, this was back at a time when Love Systems was only really a few years old, and we were really only starting to put together a lot of these amazing concepts and techniques that basically we all take for granted today. And it was proved to be such a popular thing back in 2006 that ever since then we've done this once a year. And it's been a great opportunity both to create and share new ideas. I mean, the Super Conference is always where we release our newest and best stuff, as well as going over a lot of the fundamentals for guys that have come to the Super Conference the first time. And we decided to make it an annual event, for precisely that reason. We'd have a lot of guys that would come, and they would really be able to kind of transform their lives based on the knowledge and the training that they got at the Super Conference. But people want to stay up to date. What's come up this year? What's the new stuff you guys have figured out? And so that's why they would come. People would come back year after year, at least for the seminar portions. And so having this as a DVD set as well is really exciting for us, because now this lets some of this knowledge go out to basically to you at home. The Super Conference itself takes place over 3 days. It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And there's always a bunch of add-on sessions, right before, right after for guys that are interested. And, during these sessions, during the daytime, there's always 2 rooms going on. What you're going to see most of is what we call the main stage. And that's where guys that, have earned the right over the past year, the top guys in the world, will be getting up and talking about a different area of their expertise. The same time going on all the time in those 3 days is something called the breakout room, and you'll see limited scenes from that. And that's where instructors are really working one-on-one with you, or in very small groups, and it's a lot of exercises and drills and so on. So you've practiced exactly what to do before we get out to the mall, the bar, the club, or wherever it is we're going. Because a lot of the time, the difference between success and failure is something, with women, is something really subtle. And oftentimes it's stuff that if a trained eye isn't watching you, you wouldn't even necessarily know that you're doing. But, a lot of this stuff, ends up getting corrected in the breakout room. And the stuff that doesn't, there's 2 nights, the Friday and the Saturday night, where for, 4 to 5 hours at a time, we take you out to actual bars and clubs in Las Vegas. And there's really a couple of things that are going on there. You're meeting beautiful women with us, seeing and hearing what's going on, so we can tell you what you're doing right and wrong. And you're also seeing, instructors and some of the advanced students picking up beautiful women themselves. And, you could even request, how would you approach those women? And an instructor will go do that. And most of the time that goes really well. And so that gives you something really powerful to model. Because it's one thing to say, okay, do this, this, and this. And it's another thing to see it in action. So what you're going to be seeing most of in these DVDs are the main stage presentations. And as I've said, some of it's going to be, kind of review of some very important concepts or laying the foundations. And then towards the end, you'll start seeing a lot of, really new material or new breakthrough material. And it all works together. We'll be showing you selected bits from the breakout rooms, maybe a couple of field bits as well where we have them. But for the most part, that ends up being pretty specific to the guys there. I mean, when we're training somebody at the Super Conference, we're going to train, them specifically. And what works for one person might not always work for another. I mean, this is something that's a really important concept when learning to be very successful with women, is that you can't necessarily just follow what one person does if you're nothing like that person. I mean, that's why one of the strengths of Love Systems and how it's explicitly being built is you'll see that our instructors range, in age from about 20 to 50, every ethnic, cultural, or racial group. We live around the world. We're interested in different types of women and so on. So when I come up with something that works, well, we're all going to try it. And all of our clients are going to try it, and maybe we'll realize, okay, Savoy's hit on something that's part of universal female psychology, and you can always do this. Or maybe it's, okay, this only works for, guys like Savoy in Los Angeles. Or maybe this only works with this type of women. One person would never be able to figure all of that out. And that's why we've built Love Systems, to have the kind of scale and the kind of diversity so that we can do that. So it's for that reason that we've really been concentrating on the main stage presentations. You also see that the Super Conference has become Love Systems Super Conference has become so popular and well known that this year, we finally admitted some of the media in, and you'll see a clip from ABC Nightline where they do their impression, I suppose, of a fair and balanced approach to the Love Systems.
What's your pleasure? Who am I aiming you at? Blonde girls. Blondes?
Yeah. All right. Redheads too if you see them, but redheads don't come up there.
All right, let's go.
The scene in this crowded club may not look like it, but for a group of young men, this is boot camp. Boot camp for love. Their training officers are right in there with them.
Here's the deal. 10 good minutes of interaction, and let's say 5 minutes of good interaction with the group. They're like, you know what, you girls are cool. Come back to our table. Right?
These guys have been taught how to talk to women they've never met and spark a romance. The target-rich environment of the Jet nightclub in Las Vegas was where they went into action. There's the approach and the open.
I love these classes. They are awesome. Because you're smart. I love that about girls. I hope so.
It's a line, but at least it's a new one. These men are students in a seminar conducted by a Los Angeles company called Love Systems. It's self-help for guys who are not quite lucky enough in love. Some of them looking to the long term, a lot of them looking for quickies.
It's about 1,000 little things. It's about learning to be playful, learning to be fun, learning to break the ice with women, confident body language, learning how to communicate on an emotional level. A lot of guys haven't learned that.
That's where I am right now. They make strong drinks over there. I can totally tell you're like some kind of nurse. Say you're a freak?
Sweet!
Michael, how should we put this? Michael came close that night.
So I made out with her, and she was really sexy. But unfortunately, there was logistical problems. Her friends were everywhere, and she didn't want to get sexual in front of her friends, understandably. So we actually went out to a vending machine to see if we could do it there, but there was no door on the vending machine, so we didn't. But it was a good night.
So far, Love Systems has run about 10,000 men through their courses. There is a market for this. But there's that lingering question whether this is a little skeezy, training men like door-to-door vacuum salesmen to close a deal with a hot chick.
At times, it almost looks unfair to the women.
Are women's magazines unfair to men? Is makeup? All of the women's magazines where women give advice to each other about how to meet the man of their dreams or how to seduce the one you want or where to meet rich men this summer.
So you're just doing the same for the guys?
I think we're just giving guys the type of advice that women have been giving each other for years.
This is sort of based on the belief, though, that women do want to be picked up. They do want to meet these guys.
Well, if our techniques didn't work, we wouldn't teach them.
In fact, they say guaranteed to work or your money back. Drinks not included. This is Brian Rooney for Nightline.
And so the conference began, in October 2010 on a Friday afternoon with myself on stage talking about seven seductive ideas.